Thank you for tuning in today to today's episode. Again, I am Sergeant First Class Mike Warrick, Army recruiter at the Arnett Mall. Today is a very important episode. It's that part 2 of our basic combat training 2-part episode. Now today we're going to get into blue phase, graduation, and we actually have a very special video to bring to you. I spoke with an actual drill sergeant down at Fort Jackson, a great guy, Drill Sergeant Velasco. We'll talk to him for a little bit, get his perception, if you will, on basic training while he's down there in Fort Jackson and working with those soldiers, accomplishing those goals and doing great things for the Army. So blue phase is one of those really important phases. They all are very important, but blue phase is a great phase because this one really emphasize on leadership, self-discipline, and teamwork. Now, throughout the red, white, and blue, as we get into blue, that drill sergeant's building those soldiers up to accomplish all those phases, and this is where we bring it all together. Also, during this phase, I don't want to steal too much thunder, if you will, from this video content we're about to show you in a couple seconds, but one of the favorite ranges I like going during that phase was the grenade range. It's very exciting, a lot of adrenaline. Very important to pay attention, obviously, because you're dealing with a grenade, but white phase is where you basically, hone everything together right before you graduate.
Blue phase concentrates on individual tactics, increased leadership, self-discipline, and teamwork. This phase is the culmination of everything learned throughout all BCT training phases. During the U.S. weapons immersion, trainees first practice with dummy grenades and graduate to live grenades. They will also undergo field training exercises and simulated combat scenarios during the day and night. You will have a battle buddy who communicates what needs to happen so you can stay accountable for your team.
This next part is probably the one phase where every soldier going through basic combat training is waiting on. That's the graduation ceremony. So they've gone through that whole 9 weeks and some change to this very moment where they're walking a little taller, stepping a little farther out in their stride with pride, and everything's coming together, and they've graduated basic combat training. They are soldiers, the U.S. Army soldier. This is probably, when I graduated, again, I went to OSUT training, one station unit training at Fort Knox when I came in the Army. And by far that day, I mean, I just had goosebumps. Matter of fact, just talking about it, I have goosebumps thinking about it right now. Just that sense of pride, patriotism, I mean, everything you could possibly think of. I mean, it's probably more thrilling than any other graduation I could possibly think of. High school, maybe even college, stuff like that. It's just adrenaline. Everybody's cheering. Your family's down there. The crowd's going crazy. It's a really great time.
You've done it. You've completed basic combat training and taken your place among the greatest fighting force in the world. You've passed the red, white, and blue phases and now proudly display those colors on your U.S. Army uniform. Your friends and loved ones will be proud and will notice the change in you. You are now a soldier. But your journey doesn't end here.
After the break, we're going to meet with Drill Sergeant Velasco down at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. A drill sergeant, like I mentioned earlier, who's what we call on the trail, working every day with, civilians coming in and turn them into soldiers. We'll take, his perception on the importance of his role, how he sees these soldiers, I guess, morphing into soldiers. When they come up from civilians, picks them up from reception, like I said, red, white, and blue phase, right into graduation, and that pride that he sees in those soldiers and himself, by looking at, those soldiers that he's taught, coached, led, and mentored in becoming U.S. soldiers. Welcome back, viewers. Again, we're about to talk with Drill Sergeant Velasco down at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. I spoke with him previously just to get to know him a little bit. He's an amazing drill sergeant. I wish I would have had him back when I came through. Now, I had some really good drill sergeants myself, but Drill Sergeant Velasco, I mean, was what we call squared away. He's a great drill sergeant. He really takes pride in what he does, and he loves coaching, mentoring soldiers. Drill Sergeant Velasco, I really appreciate you giving us some moments of your day. I know you guys are extremely busy building soldiers and you know, building that cornerstone that what protects America, you know, that American soldier. So thank you very much for your time today. Now, Drill Sergeant, tell us a little bit more about yourself. You know, how long have you been a drill sergeant, your primary MOS, military occupation specialty in the Army, and a little bit more details, some maybe duty assignments, stuff like that.
Well, I joined the Army back in 2007. I'm originally from North Bergen, New Jersey. I've been in just under 10 years. Some of my duty stations have included Fort Hood, Texas, where I actually deployed 2 times to Iraq with the 1st Cavalry Division. And immediately upon my second deployment, I volunteered to be a paratrooper at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where I also served as an airborne artilleryman, jump master. That was one of my favorite duties, actually, where I just came from. I've been on the trails just under a year now, here as a drill sergeant here at Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
That's awesome. That's all. Jump master. That's pretty cool. Any future endeavors trying to go for the Army Golden Knights?
Well, I wouldn't say so much Golden Knights, but I would like to do some military free fall in the future. I'm actually going to submit another Special Forces packet, and we'll see where that takes me.
There you
after
go.
I leave here.
Awesome, awesome. Best of luck in that endeavor, Mix. I know that's extremely challenging, but you know, just keep on pushing. Just keep on pushing. All right, Drill Sergeant, I got a couple questions for you real quick. You know, our audience is very interested on everything about a drill sergeant. Just to recap, when you first came in the Army, when you were a private and you were going through that reception, getting ready for red phase, like what was going through your mind when you knew that pickup day, when the drill sergeants came to reception to pick you guys up to go to your barracks? What was going through your mind?
Well, for one, I thought this is really happening. You know, I was still in that shock factor. You know, I was still in disbelief. It's just 100 miles per hour. It can be very confusing at times, and I just thought the drill sergeants, I see them, I said, man, this guy, they're gonna break me. They're gonna break me. That is their sole mission in life, you know, and that's what it seemed like. And I never really understood I didn't see the big picture. I didn't see the method behind the madness as to why the drill sergeants are the way they are until so many years in the Army, and I understood what it's like to embed the Army values in a civilian who has no idea of what it's like to be a soldier. So I understand the method behind the madness now, but that was what was going through my head initially. I said, man, these guys are going to break me. I'm in for a world of hurt.
Yeah, no, I can completely relate. When I got picked up, when I first came in, like, I mean, it was just swarmed by drill sergeants, and exactly like you were saying, like, wow, it was intimidating. And it did take me a little time too, about 3 or 4 weeks, when I finally realized that my drill sergeant is not there to, for lack of a better term, mess with me or whatever. He was there to build me and give those, you know, cornerstones, that foundation of a soldier. And from that moment on, I was moving like a freight train, And still to this day, I mean, this is almost 20 years ago, and I still talk to my drill sergeant about once or twice a year, catch up a little bit, see how things are going. He's retired now, out of Fort Hood, Texas. So I can completely relate, and that's really cool. Now, when you're going to pick up these these soldiers out of reception, does that go through your mind real quick before you actually go and meet these soldiers? Like, that was me 10 years ago, you know what I mean? Does that go through your mind at all?
Absolutely. It goes through my mind every minute of the day up until the day they graduate. I can definitely have empathy.
Sure.
Or I can put myself in a person's shoes. I understand that we all come from different backgrounds. We're all raised differently. So when we initially pick up these new soldiers, I don't expect you to be perfect. I don't expect you to know everything. I don't expect you to have the best attitude. I understand everybody's coming from different places of the world, and that was me at one point. So I can definitely relate, and I think that helps make you a better leader also, to be well-rounded and versatile, and knowing that this is my job to transform a civilian into a soldier. Absolutely. And I will do what it takes to get them to that point, because that is what I owe them, that is what I owe the Army, and that is what we owe the American public, as we owe America, our country.
I've been an Army officer for more than 21 years. I'm a cardiologist and a clinician, taking care of a wide variety of patients with symptoms, and we're using some of the tools that today we did not have even just 5 years ago. Some of the most advanced equipment and imaging modalities possible. One of the benefits of being a cardiologist in the Army is that I'm also a teacher. I am responsible for training as the program director more than half of the Army's cardiologists. I'm also a clinical researcher. As a medical officer in the Army Medical Department, it's an expectation that all officers be leaders. And so in my role as the consultant to the Surgeon General, I'm responsible for high-level policy with regards to cardiovascular medicine. I get to combine the two passions that I have, and that is caring for patients and serving the country in the same job. I truly believe there is no other healthcare system that would provide me the opportunity to see patients, teach, do research, and to lead like I have in Army medicine.
I had a drill sergeant with me when I was going to the senior leader course, and still, as our viewers see, this is Staff Sergeant Promotable Velasco, and I'm an E7, so I outrank him. Even still, though, I call him drill sergeant because that's the respect that he has earned. So again, my hat's off to you. So in your own opinion, what is your most important role as a drill sergeant?
My most important role as a drill sergeant, I would have to say, is instilling pride in a soldier, in an individual. Pride, instilling pride and a sense of teamwork. I think there are a lot of people that come in and they have some great attributes. However, we're trying to get all those attributes, we're trying to build upon all those strengths into one team. We're trying to build a team. And I think something that goes into that is pride. Pride in self, in the Army, in your country, pride in the fact that you're doing something that serves a greater purpose than yourself. You're part of something bigger. You're building upon a legacy that dates back hundreds of years. And pride has a lot to do with that, because that is what's going to keep an individual going after he or she is mentally exhausted, physically exhausted, just drained from nonstop training. And that pride that we instill in them, that is one of my most important factors, is instilling that pride in the individual to say, hey, I have what it takes. I can make it. I can push through this. Instill that motivation in them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I actually assistant coach here at a local high school varsity football, and I take that right there and I bring that to the table with them, and they love it. I usually tell them, day one, like, some of you are going to love me and some of you are going to hate me, but I'm not here for that. I'm here to, exactly what you said, push you through those endeavors where you want to give up. That's where I'm going to be that voice on your shoulder telling you to get up and keep moving. So that's, again, man, I can't give you enough respect as a drill sergeant, because when I first came in too, like I said, that first couple of weeks, I was not, for lack of a better term, drinking the Kool-Aid until that one day. And after that, I realized that drill sergeant, like you said, there to put that pride in and that patriotism and that spirit of never giving up. And ever since that day, I just keep pushing, just keep moving forward. So let me ask you a couple more questions. As a drill sergeant so far, what is like your most rewarding moment or moments going through that 9 weeks with your soldiers?
It has to be graduation day. There's nothing more rewarding than to see that soldier who I saw 9 weeks prior come in with no knowledge of the military, the lack of the 7 Army values because it hasn't been instilled in them yet, just a civilian transforming into, once again, part of the greatest fighting force in the world. So when they walk that graduation stage, when they walk across that field and I see that end product, to me, it's very self-rewarding. I look at that and I say, okay, that's my product. I did that. And with the hopes that that soldier can take that with them for years to come and instill what I originally instilled in them, in their soldiers, and so on and so forth. Because that's one of the greatest things about our Army that makes us unique, is that we build our own leaders. And as a drill sergeant, that's what I owe them. I have to build our future leaders. That's what I owe the Army. That's what I owe our country. I'm trying to build future leaders. So when I see those soldiers, walking across the graduation field with their heads up high, just chest out, with that sense of pride, looking good in their uniform. It makes me very proud.
That's cool. That's fantastic. Kudos to you, because when I was a tanker for a couple years, I had soldiers then, and I loved mentoring soldiers. And when I went over to counterintelligence, we don't have any more E4 and below, just NCO. So I miss that so much. So that's fantastic. Now, can you walk me through real quick your average day in basic training?
An average day in basic training would look something like this. We would wake the soldiers up at 05, allow them plenty of time to conduct personal hygiene and put on their PT uniform. After that, we'd have formation around 5:30, have a formation, get accountability of all our soldiers, go right into PT. We would conduct physical fitness training with the soldiers, which I believe as a leader, that is probably the most important part of our day is physical fitness training, So we conduct physical fitness training for about an hour. We let them go upstairs, change into their duty uniform, take a shower, and after that we'll start the duty day. And the duty day can consist of anything from classes and training here inside the company area, the battalion area, or going out to one of the ranges, conducting rifle marksmanship, buddy team live fire, and other things of that nature. Also land navigation courses. And if we were to go out there, we would bring some food out there for the soldiers and ensure that they get plenty of time to eat during this training. If they're not if they're not actively training, we also have what's called concurrent training. So we'll also have other stations to the side where soldiers will conduct concurrent training for upcoming events so that they're prepared for the next event that comes up. After that, we would come back. I'd say dinner around average between 1800 every day. After dinner, it's pretty much on the drill sergeants. It's up to us to decide what our platoon needs, what our soldiers need as far as extra training goes. We'll do that for about an hour. And after that training, we will release them into what's called personal secular time, which the soldier gets an hour of personal secular time every night. And that's just the time for the soldier to just reflect, take care of any personal matters they need to, square away their living area and things of that nature. And then after that, we would have a final accountability formation, put them to bed.
Nice, nice. Now, through this 9 weeks, I'm sure these soldiers have hurdles, up and down, whether physical or mental or sometimes spiritual. When they receive correspondence, letters in the mail from family, your periodical phone call that they're allowed, do you see that change in that spirit, whether shortly thereafter or like the very next day, their spirits are high, stuff like that?
Absolutely. I feel like family is a very important part of fitness, not just physical fitness, but we talk about emotional, mental, spiritual fitness, and family plays a huge part in that. And I can definitely see a change in the soldier's attitude after he or she receives a letter from that family member, letting them know how proud they are and encouraging them to keep pushing through despite their ups and downs. So yes, it's beneficial for the soldier to keep a close connection to their family members while they're here, and we encourage it too.
Nice, nice. Yeah, that's huge. I know when I was going through, I went through OSIT training as a 19 kilo air tanker at Fort Knox back in the day. And every time I get a letter, from mom, dad, brother, sister, whatever, it was like fuel just got in my tank, and it was great, which is huge, And even when I was deployed, letters in the mail, correspondence is fantastic. Now, on average, how often do you allow your soldiers to make a phone call?
We allow our soldiers to make a phone call starting in the second phase, and it also varies by installation, but I know here starting in the second phase, we'll allow them to make a phone call every couple of weeks. Every couple of weeks on Sunday during their personal time, we'll allow them to take their phones out the night prior, we'll have them charge their cell phones, and the day of, we'll allow them to make a 15-minute phone call home. And once again, we encourage them highly to call their family members first, let them know that everything's okay, and also a constant reminder of when their graduation is and just how they're doing overall.
Right, that's fantastic. Now I know those phone calls are kind of withheld a little bit first couple of weeks. So the main purpose is to put faith and value in your team, your drill sergeant, opposed to having that outlet to mom, dad, you know, brother, sister, whatever, which is, I think, is very vital to build that cohesion, that trust in your drill sergeant and your team, which is fantastic. And that's one of the big questions we get often from our future soldiers is how often will I be able to call? And you know, we tell them periodically. You know what I mean? It's definitely not a priority because what comes first is being a team, and you need to feel a member of that team. So that's fantastic. Well, Drill Sergeant, we're going to wrap it up. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for your contribute to your unit, your country, what you're doing for our Army. Keep pushing. Best of luck going to selection. You know, it's more mental, I've heard, than physical. So I mean, I've read some really good books on it. So get out there and do what you got to do, Drill Sergeant. I appreciate your time today. Thanks for tuning in. I'm just going to wrap it up here. Again, I'm Sergeant First Class Mike Warrick, Army recruiter out of the Horseheads Recruiting Mall. Listen, if you have any questions about anything, please feel free to contact us. We have our Facebook page, or please call the office. If we don't answer by chance it's late in the evening, we have a voicemail, 607-796-5323. Or you can call my personal government cell phone, 607-267-9167. Thank you again for watching. Please feel free to stop by, too, if you're in the Arnett Mall. Have a great day.
To be part of this team, it takes more than being tough. It takes more than being smart. It takes the will to step up when the stakes are highest, and the skills to prevail when you're needed most. Find out more at goarmy.com/team.